This is episode 50 of the Gauntlet podcast. My name is Jason.
I'm Kristen.
My name is Dan.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Rich.
All right, episode 50. We have the whole crew here. Kristen, Dan, thank you for coming on the show.
Yay! It's good to be back.
Thanks for letting me back into the glorious studio.
Kristen, who is technically still a co-host, and Dan, who abandoned us 10 episodes ago.
Oh,
Glad you're both
It's
here.
true. Yeah.
Has it been 10 episodes? It feels like just yesterday.
It was 10 episodes ago. Yeah, because it's epispe 40, right? Wasn't it, Dan?
Dude, I don't know.
Sure
I
was.
purged everything about this podcast from my memory the moment I hit the stop button.
Ouch. I'm about to, so wait till segment 3. All right, here we go. All right, let's start by talking about some of the games we've been playing. Well, Dan, why don't you go first?
All right, well, mine is going to be pretty short here, I think. One of the things that I've been playing a lot of lately is Pandemic Legacy, but I'm in this situation where I don't want to spoil it for people, even though, I don't know, it's been out for a while now, but I still would feel weird saying too much about it.
I haven't played it, so don't spoil it.
Yeah, no spoilers.
Yeah, don't do that.
Right, that's why I'm not going to. Or am I? I don't know. I'm not, actually. But what I will say about it is that, like, one of the things that I really appreciate about it is that you're playing over the course of, like, 12 to 24 games, and before every game, you, like, start flipping up these cards that say, like, oh, it gives you a little bit of story about, like, what's changing with the state of the world and, like, how the viruses are changing and all of this. Kind of gives you different goals in every game. But along with that, you're getting more abilities every game. And so you have, like, stickers, and you'll open up a little package, a little briefcase, and there'll be stickers inside that are like, oh, now you can do this new action. And you stick them on your little player reference sheets. When you first open the game, there's like, you have your actions are like your standard pandemic actions, right? You can walk to another city, or you can trade a card if you're in the same city as somebody else. But like, they give you 2 of these cards, and the second one is just all blank. And like, watching it slowly fill up is amazing. And like, it does that really good thing where, like, you know, if you're teaching a complicated role-playing game or something, like, you teach the systems one at a time as they come up, and like, the way this is designed, it does that naturally, and like, it's beautiful because at the point where we are now, we're 2 games from the end now. There are so many options at any moment. Just the complexity that you're dealing with is like massive, but the ramp getting there has been so smooth. Like, they obviously play tested the shit out of this game, and just like, I don't know, I really appreciate it because Pandemic's awesome, and now it's like super, super complicated Pandemic, which is the only thing I think that could have made it better.
Okay, cool. Man, I can't. You know, my excitement to play the game had waned a little bit because other people were so excited about it, and that's just the way I react to things sometimes. But now I'm back.
Oh, so it was too popular for you?
You're such a
contrarian.
Yeah,
that was. I was like, oh god, everybody's into this. I don't want to play it now. But now I kind of want to. But now I think enough time has passed, and after your glowing assessment there, I really want to check it out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's so good. It's the best board game that I've played in years and years.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad that the legacy mechanics, which sounded very cool in theory, are now married to a game I don't hate, because I'm not a big fan of Risk.
Right.
And yeah, I've heard nothing but good things. So I'm super excited to finally get the chance to play.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And like, we've become really attached to our characters because you give your characters names, and like, they have relationships to each other. So we have like this team that we're like really attached to and dedicated to. And we fucked up one time. I was like, we should get somebody else in the mix. We should mix it up. We'll get another character in here. And then we just got our asses handed to us. That dude's dead now. So we'll never be tempted even again. Like, sorry, Carl, rest in peace, buddy. But you had one game and you got murdered. So
Pandemic introduced red shirts. Wow.
Exactly. Yeah. So he seemed so cool, but then, oh man, it was just like halfway through the game, it was like, no, I might as well just kill this guy. And so we did, and it was pretty great.
Awesome. Steve, what have you been playing?
So this week I got to play Monster of the Week for only the second time. Yeah. The previous time I played it was late last year, and it was run by same GM, Scott, who has appeared on the podcast a time or two. And here's an excellent reason why I hate XP on a Miss, because we were playing Revised, which is XP on a Miss. And we didn't quite get through the whole story in that session. We were going to go to a second session, never made it around to it. So we didn't do end of session stuff. And as a result of those two things combined, the first time I played Monster of the Week, I made 0 experience. And so I think Scott sort of tried to, this is probably unrelated, but from my perspective, it seemed like he was trying to compensate by going very far in the other direction. Because we did XP on a miss, end of session stuff, and highlighting, as in the original Monster of the Week.
Right, yeah.
And I think I'm 1 XP shy of 3 advances after, a 3.5 hour session.
Wow.
Whoa.
You guys are
I'm jealous.
I'm gonna agree with you. I've played about 5 sessions. No, that's not true. I've played about 10 sessions of the revised version of Monster of the Week, and I find the advancement to be just a touch slow. XP on a miss doesn't work quite as well in Monster of the Week as it does in Dungeon World, in my opinion, because Dungeon World you just roll a lot more dice, and so you have more chances to pick up XP. Monster of the Week, yeah, it just seemed a bit slow. Like I had sessions where people were getting like 2 XP, of the 5 they need to advance, and it was kind of a bummer. It was like, and maybe 1 from the end of session or whatever. So I'm not sure. I go back and forth on XP on a miss versus XP on highlights, and I think it just depends on the game and the game's goals. And I'm not but I don't really know where Monster of the Week fits into it. So
yeah, I'd like to play more Dungeon World so I can get a better feel for how it functions there. Because as it is, I've only played a few sessions of that, and it just, I don't know, it feels extraneous. It feels like XP on a miss it operates on like a, baby has a boo-boo, here's your bandage type of level. I don't need a bandage.
Yeah, I've heard that argument before, from you, in fact. And,
there we go, yeah.
My take on it is this. In the sense that, like in Dungeons and Dragons, your experience is meant to reflect like your character getting better at their chosen profession or their chosen focus or whatever. XP in Dungeon World functions in that same way. You get experience when something cool happens, meaning like a GM does a hard move that shows something cool happening, or when you just fail at what you're doing in a really catastrophic way, you get better. You learn not to do that thing, or you learn by experiencing the thing, right? And so to me, it works in that way. I would not want something like that in Monster Hearts, because the goal of Monster Hearts is so different. Like the goal of Monster Hearts is to watch the characters behave in certain ways and to interact with characters in certain ways, and to entice them to interact, to do things in a certain way. And so XP and highlights makes a lot more sense for that game. I just don't think you can have like a monolithic position on it. Like I don't think it makes any sense. Like I think it has to work for the game I think the XP system needs to work for the story that the game is trying to tell, I guess.
Right. I see a bit of that, but even that rationale doesn't really work for me because, like in something like Call of Cthulhu, if you use, and I think you have to get a success and a fail effectively on a skill in order to advance that skill. So you actually learn skill A by screwing up skill A. In Dungeon World, you get XP from any miss. So it's like, hey, remember that time I screwed up and got stabbed? Yeah, that's why I know this spell now. It's like it doesn't actually line up.
Yeah, I guess. Well, like everything in Dungeon World, though, there's a certain level of abstraction, right? I mean, I think you have to kind of be
true
with. You got to be comfortable with a certain level of abstraction when it comes to the way Dungeon World measures things. But
yeah, I mean, we're talking about it stemmed from the idea of D&D, where you would make a level, and even if you had not tried to pick pockets in 3 levels, all of a sudden you get to add a few percentage points to that.
Right. Yeah. I think it's meant, like, the way I always interpreted it in D&D is that, there are also your character's engaging in all sorts of behaviors that maybe we don't even see on screen. Like there are all sorts of things that your character might be doing or observing, and that's just a sort of abstracted reflection of that. So I don't know. For me, it works. I don't have a big problem with it, but especially because now that we use flags, because I think flags provide a little bit more of that, like, hey, go interact with me RP incentive that I think the highlights do in Monster Hearts. So
yeah, I'm with you.
Oh, speaking on XP on a miss, just real quick, Steve, I ran Inverse Worlds setting yesterday, Dungeon World, and one of the players went from first level to second level because he had so many misses. Unfortunately, he died. So he didn't get to enjoy the fruits of his level.
Well, that's both funny and a shame.
Yes.
Steve, is there anything else you want to talk about?
No.
I played Monster of the Week with Steve, actually, and one thing... It was a really good game, and Scott's bringing in actually a cool map of Houston, because we're playing in 2016 Houston.
Nice.
Which is pretty cool. And he's bringing in lots of like photographs, and our previous game, he's gone very dark sort of horror, and our previous game he brought in images of Texas witch mythos, demons and stuff, which was really cool. But one of the things that I took away was, more than ever, it was reinforced. I think that 5 for Monster of the Week is just too many people. I think Monster of the Week runs really, really well when it's 3, maybe 4 players and a DM. Because once you're more than 3...
I think 3 or less is the key.
Yeah, it's too much to manage. You can't get around the table. The relationships between people don't really happen very well, and nobody gets to dig into their character very much. And I understand we want to get as many people to the table as possible to really build the community. But I think this particular game really shines better with maybe 3 players, maximum 4 players.
I'm glad you say that, because I've had that same observation. And what I don't like about having so many people at the table is it minimizes any kind of possible mystery or tension you may be trying to build up,
Yeah.
Because there are just so many characters, and you start to have so much competency at the table that they can steamroll anything. I mean, like I think the last few sessions I've run have been with a fair number of people at the table, and it feels like they just powered through everything pretty well. Like it never, especially once you start adding in the luck mechanic that lets you basically like avoid all trouble. I mean,
yeah,
it gets to be really like they just kind of power through everything. I think 3 or less is really great because it makes it seem a little bit more like, I don't know, more like the X-Files, more like Supernatural, which I think is some of the inspiration. Mm-hmm. So
my favorite games of Monster of the Week have been smaller groups.
Yeah, I'm definitely coming around. Like that's starting to be my feeling. Yeah,
that luck mechanic does seem like it's very much aimed for long-term play and can sort of screw things up if you're playing like 3 sessions or 4 sessions or something.
Yeah, I mean, I had characters who've been through about like 10 sessions now, and they've still only got like 3 of their luck marked off.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they've still got way more luck to spend. And Monster of the Week is not a perfect PBTA game, if I'm being honest. It's really not. It's got some issues.
Yeah, I want to play more so I can get a better feel for how the investigation stuff works. Because as it is, 2 sessions separated by like 5 months. But yeah, I want to get see how I feel about that after a few more sessions.
Dan will tell you it's horrible. So
yeah, I was like holding my tongue here, but yeah, I can tell you how it works. It doesn't.
Thanks, Dan.
So I've heard that sort of thing, and that's why I want to play some more and get a feel for it.
I'm a little more. I think it's not that bad, but it's not perfect though. I wish it was better. Awesome, Rich, what do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about the latest Gauntlet City Limits game that I ran, Ninja Burger the RPG.
Cool.
So some of my friends have heard of Ninja Burger as a card game. Not many people know that it's an RPG as well. I think I may have mentioned it on a previous episode when we were talking about Gauntlet City Limits as a concept.
Real briefly, I mean, I still don't really know what it's about.
Okay, it's pretty much what you see on the tin. You play ninjas who work at a franchise delivering burgers to insane places.
Oh, yeah. I remember this now. Sorry. Yeah, you did say this. Yeah, sorry.
No, it's cool. It's a PDQ system, so I love it. And it's very over the top, but I was thankful in the 2 sessions that I ran that nobody took it to the point where I felt like it was gonzo. It didn't, let's take it to 11 and then break off the knob. Wah! I just, it goes from humor to nerds thinking they're funny. Like, that's gonzo to me, is when nerds think they're funny.
I'm definitely allergic to that shit. Yeah, I'm with you.
Dude, yeah. So these guys were solid, and Lowell Francis, who is amazing all around, he showed up in I'm going to mess up the name, a balaclava, the ninja mask, and a suit,
nice,
because he wanted to rise up into management as a ninja, and that was pretty great. Oh, and then the next session, after Lowell did his awesome businessman ninja, my buddy Chris Norwood came in and wore the ninja mask thing and a pair of shades for the entire session.
Nice.
So the first session, the problem that I had was it ran short. Like, this game ran really fast. I had never run it live. I'd run over play-by-post. And play-by-post, it went pretty long, because, play-by-post. But when I ran it live and people were rolling dice, I'm like, holy crap, you guys are done. And, yeah, so we're done. That was an hour and 15 minutes. I'm sorry. We had 2 hours blocked out. Yeah, hour and 15 minutes after character creation. So this time, I had a main event, and then I actually broke into my Ninja Burger card game, and they have missions in the card game. It really, it maps very well to the card game. And I just grabbed a few of those missions, and I just used them to stat it out. So I had a backup mission. So they went to them. Dan's not editing, so I'll tell a little bit of plot. They basically, they went to a haunted house and ran into basically knockoff Scooby-Doo gang and had to deliver burgers to them. And then when they got back early, they had to deliver to a knockoff Playboy mansion and try to get around as ninjas and all the huge party that was going on. So that was pretty good. I even had a backup to that one of going into an ICU. So I was pretty proud of myself. I had more than I needed, which for me as a poor planner rarely happens.
Awesome. One thing I want to ask, Rich, is just the sort of overall Gauntlet City Limits thing. How is that going so far?
It's going pretty well. I've really enjoyed that we have a contiguous city. The neighborhoods that people have created have been excellent setting spots, and I've tried to highlight things that they have created within the story. But as far as events from one affecting the other, that hasn't so much happened. So I'm hoping to bring that a little bit more into focus in April this month. It is High Strung, which is basically GarageBand, the RPG. And I'm hoping they can play at a couple of locations that we visited in Ninja Burger and also in Inspectors.
Awesome. Cool. Great. Kristen, what have you been playing?
So, in addition to Monster of the Week, we've actually just wrapped up our last session of Dungeon Planet, GM'd by Gauntleteer Feral. And it's fun. Dungeon Planet is a skin it's powered by the Apocalypse. It's very close to Dungeon World. And actually we used just Dungeon World character sheets. And it was very over-the-top, cheesy. It was purposefully very much like the original Star Trek series, with a captain who didn't quite seem to know how to do anything and spoke in halting tones, and various robots trying to take over the world and all of that fun stuff. We had a great time. It was really fun. It's well suited to the one-shots. If you can only show up for one episode, it's perfect, because you'll probably just get killed off at the end. We had a clone a clone red shirt who, by the end, he was Jimmy 20. We'd been through 19 Jimmys in various forms, one or another. But one thing that really became apparent in the very last episode, we had somebody swap in, and he took the captain, which isn't one of the traditional Dungeon World playbooks, but it's in one of the expansions. And the captain, I'm convinced, should not be its own playbook. I feel like it should be an advancement that you can take on a different playbook. That it's sort of like an advancement tree that you could go off of.
Okay.
Because once you get that person off their ship, which it's Dungeon Planet, it's not Dungeon Spaceship. Once you get them off their ship, they can't do anything. Our guy was off the ship for about 5 minutes, and then beamed himself back up to the ship and just shot things with lasers from space, because there wasn't anything he could do with us on the planet. So I think, though you'd think a captain would be perfect for Dungeon Planet, it really isn't. It was much better to have people who could be on the ground and sort of moving around.
Cool. Yeah, in Dungeon Planet is just a skin of Dungeon World, right?
Yeah.
And you can use like a mix of the playbooks. I think there's certain ones you're not supposed to use. Like you sub in certain Dungeon World playbooks for these other Dungeon Planet specific playbooks. And I've always liked it. I always play it in Carcosa. And I don't know if what I like about it is Carcosa, or like the fact that we're doing Carcosa,
right,
or if it's the Dungeon Planet specific stuff that's going on. I'm not sure. I haven't quite decided yet. But I'll get to find out next week, because I'm doing it again next week on Hangouts.
I think Feral used the Dungeon Planet setting for his monsters, his space monsters and things like that. But we didn't have any playbooks that hadn't been previously played in other Dungeon World settings. There wasn't anything that got swapped in. So it was nice. I played a collector, and the thing about collectors is until you take an advancement, your the things that you collect can only go in one category, but because they were all space creatures, they got to be mundane and do spacey things. So it's like I got a free advancement, which was great.
Yeah, no, that collector playbook is so cool. I think you and Scott turned me onto that one originally, and I couldn't remember the name of it. The other day, I was trying to think of it because I was going to let one of the players. I was going to offer it to one of my UW players, and I couldn't think of the name of it. I was like, "Holy shit! What is that playbook with the guy that just has random stuff? Like, who is that?"
I love it.
But
I love it.
Yeah, the collector. Yeah. Awesome. Is there anything else you want to say about it?
No, that's it. Farrell did a great job, kept it entertaining, and dealt well with a constantly sort of rotating table of people. So, good fun.
Awesome. Cool. Sounds good. Okay, well, the game I played this week that I want to talk about is Epodiah Ravachol's Vast and Starlit. It's funny that it's called Vast and Starlit because the game is not vast at all. I could probably read the entire rule set right now, and it would be faster than telling you what the game is about. It's about 3 paragraphs long. It's really more of a game poem, I guess, at least the original version. He's added some things on since the original Vast and Starlit. There's some supplements for it, also very short. It's interesting. It's a space thing, space misfits on a ship that's quirky and temperamental, right? I think you play like you're prisoners who've just escaped on this like ship, and you're trying to find a place to call home. It's got a very Firefly-esque vibe to it, I guess. The game is pretty simple. There's not a lot going on. You set up your characters by basically asking each other some questions, but they're not prescribed questions. They're just like questions you think of that you think are interesting. There are certain questions there are certain prescribed questions that each character has to be asked related to like how they view themselves as far as being a leader on the ship. But otherwise, once you've asked one of those questions, you can kind of just ask whatever questions you wish. And then you ask some questions about the ship itself, and you kind of describe like how you relate to the ship and what parts of the ship you consider home, and you kind of put all that on a map, and you're ready to go. It's pretty straightforward. There's not much to it, but it works pretty well. We came up with some really great characters. They were a little tropey, and it felt like Firefly with the serial numbers rubbed off. but they were good. I played Theo Vasquez, space hottie. He was pretty great. He was pretty awesome. And we had one person who played a mantis. That was cool. River played a mantis creature. The characters were cool. The ship was cool. And the gameplay is just scene framing. You just go around the table framing scenes. You have a character who is like a sort of like spotlight character. And whenever conflict happens or whenever something happens that another player deems to be either dangerous or difficult or both, then you engage the game's conflict resolution, which is essentially if it's a spotlight character, then you end the scene on a cliffhanger, and then you come back and the other players give you some options about what they think might have happened, and then you pick the one you like, and that's what happened, and you narrate that once you go back to that character after the cliffhanger. If it's a non-spotlight character who tries to do something difficult or dangerous, a third person another player at the table says what they think the outcome is. There's a certain outcome for each one, and then that's what it is. It's real simple. The conflict resolution system is mostly just about like, when is it appropriate to smash cut away and leave the scene on a cliffhanger, and when is it and when is it not, and when you come back to it, like what happened. We found it to be interesting, not useful in the sense that I think all of us at the table had a good sense of narrative pacing and stuff, and so I don't think we really needed to be told like that. But I could see, maybe if you're a newer to story games and you want kind of like a real light mechanical framework to kind of get into this idea of just a real pure scene framing kind of game, where it all just kind of revolves around like dramatic pacing. Okay, yeah, this game has a nice simple framework for that. It worked. The story was great. The characters were great. So I guess I can't really fault it. It was just very simple. I'm not. I love when games do this. I love when games get to point B in like the straightest, most simple manner possible. I admire that. World of Dungeons is another example. To me, World of Dungeons plays nearly as good as Dungeon World, and it only has one move. But in both cases, in Vast and Starlit's case and in World of Dungeons' case, I'm not sure that's going to hold up over long-term play. Epi's answered that by creating these supplements that deal with things like romantic tension, interpersonal conflict, technology, space travel, that sort of thing. And so maybe that would kind of give it some, kind of put some meat on the bones or whatever for longer term play, but we didn't get a chance to try any of that out. The core game also has a method by which you create your alien species or alien cultures. And that was kind of cool. We didn't get to really do much of it, but it seemed really neat. Like, I could kind of see it was a neat thing to do. Like for alien species, you basically think of two animals. One player thinks of two animals, and then another player thinks of qualities they like about those animals or things that those qualities those animals have. And then the third player synthesizes all that to be an alien. So,
all right. That sounds cool. I'm digging that.
Yeah.
So now I'm curious about what it is that you guys made.
So the thing is we missed an opportunity to do it in the story. We were really the story was really rolling along, and we introduced an alien culture, without realizing we should have triggered that mechanic. And so, but we already kind of knew what it was like. We kind of came up with it, we kind of came up with it on the fly, what we thought these people were about. And it was really well fleshed out. We didn't really follow the process, the step-by-step process, but we went back afterwards and we're like, oh, okay, we could have done this, we could have done that. We talked about how it might have gone. So, like I said, I kind of theoretically understand how.
So, can we just do that now?
Sure. Why not? This is gonna be a short cast.
Exactly.
Once we're past this, so. Well, how about this? I'll think of an animal. Rich, you think of another animal, and then Kristen, you think of qualities those animals have.
Okay.
And then Dan and Steve synthesize.
Okay.
I don't think I should be synthesizing because I don't know how that part works. So I should just think of an animal.
The rules literally say synthesize those things. So,
okay. All right. Maybe then.
So you know exactly
Figure
how it works.
out.
All right.
All right.
Okay. So my animal is going to be parrots.
Parrots? Okay.
Parrots. Yeah, like birds. Parrots.
First thing that came to my mind was a warthog.
What? This is what you give me to work with. Okay, well, parrots, they're... I don't like birds. You've given me a tough one. Yes.
Okay, Kristen, you do the qualities of parrots. Steve, you do the qualities of warthogs. And then, Dan, you synthesize it and tell us what our alien species is all about.
Sounds good.
How many qualities are we aiming for here?
Yeah.
Just a couple?
The rule just says, name
Okay.
2 or 3, I think.
So parrots are vain, and parrots are social.
Okay. Warthogs?
Warthogs are vicious and ugly.
Wow. All right.
Okay. Dan, synthesize.
All right. So we have vain, sociable, vicious, and ugly, right?
Yeah.
All right, so clearly we have some sort of warrior race of aliens. They're ugly but also vain, so they would need to cover themselves with the skins of their victims or something, and just take very good care, oil the flesh of their victims that they wear when they go to their fancy alien parties, because they're
Puts
sociable.
the lotion on the skin. Yeah.
Nailed it.
And they're called the
Nice.
lectors.
Yes, there you go.
Actually, the bills.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Nice. That's bravo. I couldn't figure out from the rules if they're also supposed to be part parrot and part warthog. That wasn't clear.
Well, I mean, that's what I was picturing.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Let's leave this segment, shall we? Vast and Starlit. It's great. It's great. Simple. There's no reason not to play it. It's really straightforward. Go check it out. So we had a good time. All right, let's go to Giving Me Life. Our next segment is Giving Me Life.
Woohoo!
All right, Dan's is yours really good. Do I save you for last?
Is mine really good? I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't looked at it yet. You didn't have it on there.
I mean, I'm
until-
going to talk about VR, man.
Thank goodness we've had 10
Right.
episodes of no VR talk.
Right.
No VR talk. All right, we'll see. Well, okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. You're going to be last. All right, Kristen, go first.
Okay. So my Giving Me Life this week is...
Wait. Is this just one? You need this. You've never done just one.
I know, I'm not cheating. I have a backup, actually. I was going to cheat.
Normalcy is restored.
All right.
Rich wants more to edit, so go for it. Do both.
So then I'll give you the short one first. The short giving me life is actually that I finally finished Mass Effect 2, and which I know I'm way behind the rest of the world, but it's great story ending. Really happy with how everything went, and that all my people made it through at the end. But we're going to be running a Mass Effect themed dungeon world that Scott actually has been working on for a while now, and he's trying out some new mechanics. And so finishing game 2 has gotten me more story stuff that I can work with for the game, and I'm really excited about that. So that's my cheat one, my extra one. My real giving me life this week is actually birthday resolutions, because everybody makes New Year's resolutions, and I made some, and I'm doing pretty well on keeping those. But when my birthday is at the end of the month, and I got to this point about maybe a month ago that I was like, you know what, in addition to these things, these lifestyle things that I've tried to change for my New Year's resolutions, I want to change some extra stuff. I want the new year of me to have some new things. And that's been really energizing, and thinking about, you know, post birthday, post April 29th, what do I want to be like? What do I want to change, and what do I want that to look like in my life? And I think it's good to have energy about change and sort of visualizing what it is you want for yourself. It's good, healthy stuff. So that's my giving me life this week.
You're not going to give us specifics?
Yeah, so
specificity is the soul of narrative.
Well,
tell us more.
That's a little personal.
Tell us more about what you hate about yourself, Kristen. Go.
Just planning things better, being more organized, but also our house is always the last priority, and I'm so busy with work and everything else, and gaming and stuff like that it's always the last thing that we do, and I'm sick of coming home to, you know, something that doesn't feel put together and taken care of. So that's one of them. And then also letting things go, while at the same time, if they're important enough, actually speaking up about it. I found last month that or even before that maybe, that certain behaviors of people that were around me were really bothering me, to the point that I was avoiding them, or sort of passive-aggressively lashing out at them because I wasn't addressing it, because I thought, oh, that's confrontational, or oh, that's rude, I just don't want to do it. And then I got to the point where I was like, it's not fair to them, because they don't know why I'm acting like a witch, and it's not fair to me, because I deserve to be happy. You know, if it's important enough to say something, I'm saying something. And if it's not important enough, then I need to just let it go.
That's a good one.
Right. Awesome. Sounds good.
Life advice with Kristen.
Well, I like that, like, you have a resolution to, like, clean your house more or whatever. So you're basically giving yourself chores for your birthday. That is, like, Kristen's birthday present to herself is, like, I'm going to do more chores.
Well, technically, we're having we're calling it the big clean, with capital T, capital B, capital C. And that's going to be next Saturday, so the house will be done before my birthday, so that I can start off on a good foot.
Okay.
At the risk of sounding impossibly bourgeois, there is nothing like getting a person to come in once a week. It is the best, like, to the extent that you have to, like, splurge on something or spend money on something that seems ridiculous. Like, it is the best expense. It's so worth it.
But then you have to clean in advance of that person coming, which is also
you do.
Like, ugh.
That's true. You do. Yeah. You're like, I don't want the housekeeper to think I'm slob. Right,
because they won't.
That's why it's a
they
great
won't pick
investment.
up your shit. They'll just, like, clean around all your crap.
Right.
So you have to pick it all up first.
Yeah, they do the deep clean.
Yeah.
You should get a really good housekeeper who, like, also does your laundry or whatever. But I had that for a while, but then I don't know. That's a rare thing. So that's a bonus thing. They don't always do that, right? Awesome. Rich, what's giving you life?
I have had a Samsung Galaxy S4, which is like the 7 just came out. So you could tell it's a little long in the tooth. It's gotten to the point now with this phone where it would tell me you have no more space for anything. And I moved every app to the micro SD card. I moved everything to the micro SD card that I could possibly move. I even brought it up on the file explorer to see if there was anything. There's nothing more to move. There's just so much Samsung gunk that has built up on my internal memory that it's kind of done being a phone. So, I was sad. So I did. I got a new
That's what you got,
phone.
new phone?
Hey, that's what's giving me life. I got an Asus Zenfone.
Okay.
I love this. I have to tell the whole name. An Asus Zenfone 2 Laser.
Ooh.
Laser.
Okay, I understood those last two words. What were the first two?
Asus, the Asus, maybe you call it
Oh,
Asus.
yeah, okay.
The computer manufacturers, they also have
Gotcha.
a budget phone. Their flagship is a budget phone. It's like a $200 phone off Amazon, man. No contract. And it's a big 5.5-inch Fablet giganto monster phone that runs Android. It's about to be upgraded to Marshmallow, and it's got some custom UI stuff, and all the reviews complain about the crapware, but it's a 32 gig RAM with up to 128 gig SD card, so I can handle a little bit of bloatware. And I'm really digging it. It's super big phone. It's so huge. And when you don't try to make a phone out of your Samsung Galaxy S4, you can convert it into basically a miniature tablet that I take. I still have the GPS, so I use it now for when I go running, and I don't have to worry about getting sweat into my phone because I have the micro tablet.
So I'm not current
Awesome.
on tech at all. So earlier when you used the phrase phablet, for a split second my brain was like, oh, it's like a tablet, but it's fabulous.
It's a stupid portmanteau to try to say this phone is so big that it's like a miniature tablet.
Awesome. Well, as long as you get the Slack app on it.
The Slack app is on it
That's
and
great.
running. I have responded to things
All right.
on the new
Good.
Zenfone 2 Laser.
Awesome. Why is it called Laser? What's that all about?
Because Zenfone 2 came out last year, and there were complaints about the phone, so they did a refresh 6 months later and added the laser siding for the phone. So you see, I'm showing right there. That's where the laser comes out. My son was upset because it doesn't actually shoot a visible laser.
What's giving me life this week is the movie Room 237.
Oh, I love it. So good.
So this came out...
I watched it like 5 times. It's so good. So good.
Oh, man, really? Oh, that's great. So it came out a few years ago, and for those of you who don't recognize the name, Room 237 is about people's various interpretations of the Stanley Kubrick movie The Shining, which came out in 1980, I think. So when I say various interpretations, actually, sorry, let me backtrack. When I say people, what I mean is crazy people.
It's so true. It really is. Yeah.
And it's a documentary that the footage is entirely footage from the movie or footage from various other movies, with very occasional exception. And so you don't actually get to see these people. So it's very you only get to hear their thoughts on the movie, which is, I don't know, it lends a sort of dreaminess to the already sort of...
It's a very powerful... Yeah,
Yeah.
it feels very, like, disembodied. Like you're floating around in the Overlook Hotel listening to crazy people whisper in your ear.
Right.
Yeah, it's great.
And which fits in with The Shining, honestly. And so this is basically people talking about what they believe Stanley Kubrick's secret intent for the movie was. Probably the most well-known of these theories is that The Shining is Stanley Kubrick's covert confession spurned on by the guilt he has for helping the U.S. government fake the 1969 moon landing footage.
Right. Well, that's what it's about. So
Yeah, of course, obviously.
right.
There's a scene in the film where, in The Shining, where Danny Torrance, the kid, has a bizarre knitted Apollo 11 sweater, and that of course is what clued the guy in. But what I found interesting is there's like 2 or 3 people giving their theories for this movie who are the things that these people are, in their lives obsessed with or experts at. Coincidentally, those are the things that they saw.
It's what The Shining
Right.
is about. Yep.
It'd be like if I approached you guys and was like, you guys, I just saw The Shining, and a lot of people don't seem to know this, but I figured out what it's about.
It's about Dungeons and
It
Dragons.
is all about role-playing games. Stanley Kubrick way ahead of his time.
Yes, it is.
Is that is that a Lamentations of the Flame Princess module?
Did you say Lamentations just now?
I did. I wanted to be fancy boy for a second.
It's fancier that way.
He's a
I'm the
fancy
fancy boy on this
too.
podcast. Only I can say Lamentations.
Yes, you are.
I was biting off your fancy boy style.
Sorry, Steve, to cut you off.
To give you... Oh, no, that's fine. So there are people talking about how Room 237 is secretly about the Holocaust, is secretly about imperial expansion of America and the genocide of the Native Americans, how it's about the Theseus and the Minotaur, and that part sort of makes sense with the labyrinth hedge
The Minotaur's
maze.
the closest one.
Right.
That's the one that sounds
Yeah,
the least
yeah.
crazy when they're going over it. Yeah.
Well, see, that one sounds the least crazy when you hear somebody tell you about it that isn't this woman. But then she starts talking about... But then she starts talking about, there's this scene with the creepy little sisters, or I think in real life they're actually cousins. They're not even twins, let alone sisters. Sisters, let alone twins, rather. Anyway. But they're standing in a doorway, and on either side of the doorway there are these two posters. And one of them is the poster of a skier on a ski slope, action pose. He's, down on his knees bent to, absorb shock, that sort of thing. And Crazy Lady maintains, clearly, this is not just a skier. I mean, obviously it's a picture of a skier. But Kubrick, who is a genius, arranged it so that it looks exactly like a Minotaur. And then close up on the poster does not look anything like a Minotaur. Sorry, lady. One of my favorite bits is Room 237 is doing a slow motion take, like they're slowing down footage from the beginning of The Shining. And it's where the Torrance family are driving up to the Overlook Hotel. And so it's a helicopter shot. You get some of the highway, there's like highway, mountains in the background, and then clouds. And there's this guy talking about, his favorite little details that Kubrick inserted, just sort of as jokes or whatever. And he's like, well, this part is, you really have to know what Stanley Kubrick looked like during the filming of the movie. Cut to, photo of Stanley Kubrick. Her suit guy, very intense looking, bearded, and, okay, got it. And so, right as Kubrick's name goes off the screen, cut to slow motion footage, Stanley Kubrick's name, ascending into the sky and eventually beyond the frame. What you'll want to do is you'll see right then that the clouds in the skyline, Kubrick has hired somebody to paint in, an image of himself. Kubrick's name leaves. Still shot of the clouds. Yeah, it's just clouds. It's just clouds. It doesn't not even anything you can stretch to interpret as we as humans are programmed to find faces and everything. That's how our brains work.
Right.
There is no Kubrick there.
That's what Dr. Richard Strand says. So, or whatever his name is, the real one. I'm going by the fake one on Black Tapes.
Black Tapes, yeah.
Whoever the guy that Richard Strand on Black Tapes is based off of, that's what he says. We want to fill in the details, but yeah, you're right. These are a bridge too far. Like, these are really, really but it's super enjoyable. That movie is so entertaining.
Yeah, it's really
fascinating.
fascinating.
That movie's so entertaining. Go watch it. It's on Netflix. So, awesome. I'll go next because I know Dan's is probably better than mine. Cheating at video games is giving me life. So I used to make fun of Dan all the time because he plays video games on
You
easy
did,
mode.
yeah. I was going to bring that up.
Yeah,
that you're
so-
a giant hypocrite.
So Dan, I used to make fun of Dan because he plays video games on easy mode, right? And I have to say though, lately I've come around to this idea. I find myself being very busy, and video games are not a thing I really have as much time for as I used to back in the day. But I still want to play video games, and so I don't do easy mode, but I have my tablet open up to wikis and game FAQs, and I just read all the shit while I'm working my way through it, so I know where to go, what to do. And I tried the boss once, and if I die once, I go to the wiki and I figure out what to do to beat it. And I'm powering through a game right now, and it's great, and I'm enjoying it just as much. It kind of goes to this whole I've adopted this attitude where I don't really believe in spoiler culture anymore. I'm reserving something for Pandemic Legacy just a little bit because
Right. Yeah. Again, hypocrite alert here.
because that's a more of a I don't know. It's something I care about more. It's a game. It's a board game. But movies and TV shows and shit, I don't even fucking care. Now, so Drag Race is on right now. I don't even give a shit. I immediately, as soon as Reddit has the answer of who was eliminated, I go find out. And I find I enjoy it a lot more because I'm able to actually I really enjoy knowing like the outcomes of things now on TV shows and stuff where there's like, you know, cliffhangers or whatever, or like on reality competitions like Drag Race, because now I watch the shows like almost like a producer. Like I watch the shows and I can see like the editing decisions that were made and the stories they're choosing to tell on screen and how that all leads up to the eventual elimination of the character, right? Like I kind of enjoy that. Like I take a lot of enjoyment out of it. And so spoilers are bullshit. Like who cares? And except for Pandemic Legacy, for which there shall remain which shall remain sacrosanct. I do not want to hear what happens. And the same thing for video games. I don't know. I'm having fun blasting through video games, cheating. That's it. Dan, what's giving you life?
All right, so what's giving me life is the fact that I don't know if you guys noticed, but we're living in a brave new world where consumer level VR is a thing that you can buy.
I am led to believe that, except no one will, but I'm led to believe that. Go ahead.
Well, and so here's the thing, like, I don't think you're wrong not to buy it. Like, I wouldn't go out and tell anybody, hey, you should buy this $600 headset to play, like, these 2 games that don't suck.
And also the $2,000 computer rig as well that goes along with it, right?
Well, yeah, that too. But if you have one, it's really cool to see sort of like the potential, because the software kind of sucks right now. Like there's just not a lot of compelling things to do in VR right now, but like the hardware is super impressive. I've been spending a lot of time just like checking stuff out in VR and like there's like this thing called Altspace where there's a bunch of it's like a VR chat room essentially, and so you just go in there and you're embodied in this robot and there's strangers there who you can talk to, but it supports all these different peripherals, and so I have a bunch of them because I'm an idiot and buy all of them. I have this thing that tracks my hands, and so it was like me and one other dude who had hands like just performing for an audience of like, look, I can move my fingers individually. And so just like seeing the technology actually working is really cool. And like, it's easy to imagine a future where that will be used for things more entertaining than like slow motion high-fiving another robot, which I did a lot of and was really satisfying. But so really though, what I'm really interested in is and that's kind of the angle that I'm interested in, is like the social aspect of VR, where like it really feels like you're in the room with these people. And so like what really kind of like drove this home for me is I was watching, there's an interview show where this guy is interviewing some game designers, and then it's the people who made Firewatch, the game Firewatch, if you're familiar with that, which is a game about... Yeah, it's a game about like you're a park ranger or something and you're in a tower in the middle of this giant forest looking for fires. And I don't know anything about the game beyond that, but the interview, they were like, well, let's go check out one of these towers. And they like warp to the tower and they're standing around and like walking around this tower, and you can kind of walk around with them and you can pick up any of the objects in the tower. And like you can see they're going into like detail about, you know, how they designed it, and they used like actual national park blueprints of these towers and like scanned in models of real wood planks that they used to build it and all of this. And so like, but really just seeing them like interacting with each other in VR was amazing. And just like the sense of place you get, because like it's super detailed. They did a really good job like recreating the space. And so it's a super detailed space that is like good enough to kind of fool you into thinking like that you're there to some extent. And so what I'm really interested in is like finding rooms like this that would be really good for things like LARPs, because that's one of the big problems that I would have with a LARP, right? Is like, I know I'm in my living room doing this. I'm not on a mountain, like, but if I'm sitting there and I'm in VR on a mountain, then all of a sudden like that eliminates that barrier completely.
Wow. I'm
really interested for like the potential for doing like, you know, storytelling in like the LARP sort of vein, or like long form improv, because you don't need a whole lot necessarily. Like that's something like, you know, ideally you have like an empty stage. And so in VR, you can whip one of those up really quickly and then you can share it with people from all over the world. So I don't know. I'm just super psyched about the potential for things like that. And like, I think that's what has me most excited about the future of VR.
Cool. You took a nice little swerve there, like into the LARP stuff. I was like, oh god, it's just Dan droning on about VR again. But no, now it's LARP. So awesome. No
and so really, like, I want to put out there that like my ulterior motive for coming on the show is that if there's anyone out there listening who also has a VR headset and is interested in doing like LARPy sort of things in VR with me, let me know, because I'm totally down.
You should get in touch with like Jason Morningstar or Lizzie Stark or somebody. Like, see if that's something they've thought about. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Can't hurt, right? That's awesome. Yeah, that seems really cool. I actually really like that idea. Like, that's a neat idea.
Yeah, and you can get a lot of mileage out of like just having a single set. You know, you don't have to build like an entire video game and all of that because the other participants bring all of the things that would be hard to program, right? You just need one convincing set and you're good to go.
Cool. Awesome. All right, well, let's just go ahead and go to the closing bit. Kristen and Dan, thank you guys so much for rejoining us for episode 50. This has been awesome.
Thanks for letting me come back, man.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, it's so good to see your faces. Actually, Kristen,
yes.
Your voice is going to continue. I am actually taking a little bit of a break from the show. I'm going to take off for the rest of April, so I'll be back for episode 54. But listeners, Kristen will be taking over for me in that time, and so be sure you whip these guys into shape, Kristen.
Oh, no pressure.
You guys can fight among yourselves about who gets to be the like announcing host or whatever.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Taskmaster.
Oh no. Am I that? I don't know if I am. Anyway, I just want to say I'm so excited we got to 50 episodes. It's freaking awesome. It's just so cool, and I want to say, for listeners who are out there who are just listeners of the show. And don't engage with the Gauntlet any other way. That's cool. We're glad you listened to the show. I want to extend to you though that you should join us on the G+ community and get involved in some of the other things we're doing. It's so damn cool. I'm just gonna off the top of my head run through some of the things we do outside of the podcast. We have the G+ community, which is awesome. We have Gauntlet Hangouts, which is fucking incredible. It's so cool. We have 40 plus, events on the calendar at all times. There are a variety of games, mostly story games and PBTA games, but every now and then something sort of OSR-ish gets in there too. But very, very nice variety of games. We have this weekly thing called Super Friends where we all just get on a hangout and chit chat about RPGs, and that's been really satisfying. I'd like to talk more about that in the future, I think, of the show. Just a really, really cool space. Go get involved with that. Keep your ears open for Discern Realities, which is our Dungeon World podcast. If you don't think you're interested in Dungeon World, okay, I accept that. But one of the things that I like about the show that people have told me they like about the show as well is it's not just about Dungeon World. It's kind of also about how to effectively run Powered by the Apocalypse games too, because a lot of the advice that we give and a lot of the issues that we talk about at our game table are ostensibly about Dungeon World, but they really can apply to any kind of PBTA situation. So I really recommend, it might be a nice thing. And if you can't get enough of my voice, then I'm there as well. and I know that's a problem for a lot of people. So let me allay that for you. We have a brand new show coming up called Plus One Forward, a podcast powered by the apocalypse. Can't say too much more other than that. Be on the lookout for it. So many cool things going on. A lot of this stuff predated the podcast, but the podcast has made it really awesome. It's really, really built out the community, and I take so much pleasure and joy in just interacting with the community members and listeners. I've made so many awesome friends, and so if you're one of those people who have not joined us yet out there, please go do so. We want to see you. Come say hi. Guys, thank you so much for 50 episodes.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, thank you.
And listeners, thank you for sticking around with us. That's it. I'm getting squeaky chair off someone. I don't know who it is.
It's Dan.
Dan.
Is it Dan?
It's me. Yeah.
Dan, don't be squeaky chair. Right.
All right. I will do my best not to move.
Don't be a Doombringer.
Oh, is that a Doombringer move?
Yeah, that's a Doombringer move. So